Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 3 p.m. session of CME Palooza. I am Derek Warnick. Let me bring up my slides real quick. There we go. So this is Jake Powers, CME Detective Accreditation with Complications, sponsored by Global Education Group. Participating in this session will be Steve Bender, President of Factor X, Mike Lepresti, Senior Director of Education and Business Development at MedIQ, and Karen Roy, Partner and Co-Founder of Infograph Ed. So this, I guarantee you, this session will be something that you have not seen before in a CME session. It is intended to be sort of a farce. It is intended to be funny. It is a noir piece, so you may hear words like dames and whatever that maybe could be considered slightly un-PC, but it's all being done in good fun, and it's very creative. I think it's a great session. I'm really thrilled that these guys are even giving this a try. So we'll see how it goes. Let me go through my normal slides. So a big shout out to our gold sponsors, Academic CME, Med Learning Group, and also our silver sponsors, ASIM, Creative Educational Concepts, Global Education Group. I need to make these bigger. Haymarket Medical Education, Infograph Ed, Medscape Education, PER, and Prova Education. Our bronze sponsors, Answers in CME, ACHL, Antidote Education Company, Catalyst, Clinical Care Options, CMEology, Global Academy for Medical Education, Helio Education Lab, Integritas, Paradigm, Peer Audience, Postgraduate Institute for Medicine, Primary Care Network, PVI, Red Med Ed, RMEI Medical Education, and Vindico Medical Education. As always, opinions, discussions, and or conclusions expressed are our own and do not represent an endorsement by or position of our employer, its parent company, or affiliates. And there are two ways, as usual, that you can ask questions. We are going to take questions. Because of the way this is structured, we'll probably save any questions for the very end. You'll see how this is all going to work. But you can use the standard CME Palooza text line to send in a question, 267-6660-CME, or you can also tweet your question using the CME Palooza hashtag. And then lastly, we are going to use polls everywhere during this session. So you may want to get yourself prepared. And I have a couple of sample questions we're going to go over here. So when the poll goes active, there's two ways you can respond. You can either go to this link right here, pollev.com/CME Palooza, or you can text the word CME Palooza to the number 22333, and you'll be able to answer questions that way. So I encourage you to go ahead and go to those sites, whichever one you feel like doing now to get ready. I do have some questions I'm going to bring up. Give me one second here because I have to stop sharing the slides, and then I'm going to bring up the polls everywhere. So I have to sort of switch over back to StreamYard. And so far, our laptop is working fine. I haven't had any issues, so let's fingers crossed that it stays that way. Share screen. Go to the right tab. There they are. Sure. Let me bring that up full screen. Okay, so this is what you see on my screen. If you go to pollev.com/CME Palooza or text CME Palooza to 22333, you'll be able to see these questions. So I have two sample questions. Let's give those a try. So we'll activate the first question here. And I'll give about 10 seconds for people to respond. Who are you rooting for in the American League playoffs, which are still going on? The Astros, not the Yankees. Anyone but the Yankees. Please, God, do not let the Yankees win. So obviously, you have to make one of these choices. There's nothing else that you can pick from. So let's see if anyone has responded. Oh, yes. Oh, wonderful. Look at that. People are still responding. It seems like everyone is picking the Astros. What a big surprise. Okay, great. So let's move on to the next one, even though people are still responding. And the next question is, activate it. Great. Who is your favorite CME Palooza personality? Derek, that's me, highly recommended. Scott, less highly recommended. Derek's cat, Peppy, who will definitely bite you if you do not vote for him. Or Scott's very cute son, who definitely should probably be the winner, and shame on you for not actually voting for him. This one will give you a couple of seconds. I checked the text. Make sure no one's telling me something. Okay. Great. Do not text. Sorry. Do not do not text your answers to the CME Palooza text line. That will not work. You have to text them to 22333. Okay. Let's see who responded. Oh, Scott's son won. Big surprise. Okay, great. Take that away. All right. And with that, we're going to bring it back. Too many windows going on here. Okay. So we're going to flip over to me. Great. Okay. So with that in mind, be ready. There will be a few more questions. We are now ready, I believe, to start our first episode. Let me make sure we got the screen up. Okay, there we are. Guys, take it away.
All characters appearing in this work are fictitious. Any resemblance to real persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. If terms and characters seem outdated, blame Dark Warren. They're written to match the genre of his original story. The opinions expressed during this session are those of the presenters, not their employers. The cigarette smoke rises slowly. The bourbon goes down easily. Dames rap incessantly on his door. They always have problems. CME problems, of course, you knucklehead. That's why people come to him. They have problems, and he fixes them. He's Jake Powers, the world's only CME detective. Day after day, the gritty underbelly of CME awaits him. The shadows hide compliance issues. Guidelines are always just around the corner. And firewalls. Man, those damn firewalls are everywhere. Care to join them? You sure you can handle it? Ready to solve some CME mysteries? Yeah? Good. Then take a shot of courage, grab your fedora and trench coat. You've got work to do. The CME industry needs us. Good morning, Mr. Powers. How are you?
Not so freaking loud, Nick.
Sorry.
Why do I have to tell you this every damn day?
Is it my fault that you go on a bender every night? You look like hell.
No, that's funny because I feel like hell. I feel like I just got back from the war, Nick. Now, what is it you want from me so early in the day?
Well, sir, you have a prospective new client waiting for you outside. She seems to have a CME problem. Need your help. You ready to go to work?
Is she a blonde dame?
She is.
They're always trouble. How am I supposed to deal with a blonde dame, Nick, when my first bourbon, my whiskey today, hasn't even kicked in yet and I'm out of cigars? Tell you what, Nick, you send in the blonde dame and find me the best lousy cup of coffee you can, okay?
Capiche? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
One blonde dame, 1 cup of coffee. Come on.
You got it.
Hello, Mr. Powers. Oh. I'm in trouble and I need your help.
Hello. Your name? Oh, no names from dames. Sorry, ma'am, but that's information that only gets me in trouble.
It's okay. It's not like I'm CME faculty or anything. Okay, no names for now.
If I decide I need to know your name, I'll let you know. Please sit. Tell me what's troubling your pretty face.
Well, you see, I've got accreditation complications, and I don't know how to handle them. I'm new in my job at a large medical school. I have a lot to learn. There's not many people there to help me, and I have multiple other jobs at the medical school library. I can't keep ahead of everything I need to know, and I'm here to ask for your help. My first question is about something called conflict of interest resolution. I'm not even sure I understand what that means or how to handle it.
I'm a CME detective. You came to the right place. Let's turn to the ACCME for some answers. They have resources to help you answer this question and many others you might not be aware of.
So I need to figure out the definition of a commercial interest? What's that?
Okay, I've printed out this flowchart here.
Okay.
We'll look at that. According to the ACCME, a commercial interest is any entity producing, marketing, reselling, or distributing healthcare goods or services consumed by or used on patients. There's additional information that can easily be found on their website, but the most basic definition probably is most applicable to your needs at your medical school. Now, you need to find out from everyone planning the educational activity whether or not they have any relevant financial relationship with a commercial interest. Also, if they're an owner or employee of a commercial interest.
What's the best way to do that?
Well, there's many ways, but in my experience, the best way to find out is to have the people who develop the content of the education, the presenters, and even the staff of your own office each sign a form that I personally like to call a disclosure form. Now, that way it's easy and clear and it's documented that you have asked the questions of everyone about their possible relative financial relationships.
Do you have an example of a disclosure form? I don't have one.
Geez. Hold on a second. Yeah, I have an example right here.
So
The ACCME provides a suggested example, but please know they don't require one. They don't require a disclosure form. But in my experience as a CME detective, it's so much easier to have one. Here we go. Let's take a look at what they require.
okay. So I just have the faculty sign this form and that's it?
No. That's not it. If that's all you did, you would not be compliant. You need anyone involved in developing content to sign the form, not just faculty. If a form is how you determine financial relationships with commercial supporters, if that's your process. But that means faculty, yes, of course, but it can also mean people who help to write the slides, people who work in the CME office who might assist with writing the learning objectives, anyone.
Oh, I help to write the learning objectives. So that means me too?
Certainly does. Yep, you too.
Okay, so once I get these signed forms from everyone involved in writing content, what do I do next?
Well, let's look at the flow chart. If you see that no one has a financial relationship, you can simply plan to clearly disclose that information to the learners at the start of the program, and you're done. But if you see that there are relevant financial relationships, then you need to take additional steps. There's a couple of instances where financial disclosure might be relevant enough that the person can't even be involved in the planning of the activity. See here?
Oh.
An employee or owner of a commercial interest can't be involved in the education related to their product or services. And here are other considerations. Just review the information on the flowchart. You'll also notice there are additional steps if a financial relationship is found.
This sounds complicated. What are the additional steps if someone has a financial relationship with a commercial interest?
Good question.
All right, this is where you all get to help out Jake Powers. So the question is, do you have an independent peer reviewer sign a conflict of interest disclosure form? A, yes, everyone involved with an activity must sign a disclosure form. B, yes, because a disclosure form is required because they have input on activity content. C, no, a form is not required, but they must follow the provider's policy for disclosure. Or D, no, because they aren't faculty and are only reviewing original content, not writing it. Go ahead and submit your answer now. Let's see if we have any responses coming in. We do. It looks like most people, so there's still some more coming in. It looks like we have A and B seem to be about the highest, a few C. So the correct answer is C.
So the correct conflict disclosure form is that an independent peer reviewer doesn't necessarily need to sign one, because a form is not required by the ACCME. However, the provider must have a policy and process in place for anyone with an ability to control content, including an independent peer reviewer. They just have to follow that process. Now, if audited, the provider must be able to demonstrate that it required anyone with potential impact on that content to disclose the conflicts of interest. So it just has to be tracked. And this can include simply asking during a kickoff call, especially if it's recorded, or over the phone during a planning meeting.
Okay, next question is, oops, let me activate, there we go. Would a company such as InfoGraphEd, who works with providers and content developers to present content through original graphically represented images, fall under a provider's conflict of interest policy? A, yes, everyone involved with an activity must sign a disclosure form. B, yes, because a disclosure form is required because they have input on activity content. C, no, a form is not required, but they must follow the provider's policy for disclosure. D, no, because they are only presenting original content in a new format, not creating or repositioning it. Please select your answer now. And we will take a look. And it looks like the majority of the people, I'll say 50%, have selected D as the answer. I do not know the correct answer because I did not get these. So let's see what Jake Powers has to say.
The correct answer would be D, even though you, the blonde dame, don't even know what I'm talking about. But the graphic designer would not need to sign a conflict of interest disclosure form or disclose any other policy through any other policy, because the firm is not creating original content or having an impact on its creation, just its delivery.
Okay. Well, all this seems pretty complicated, but I think I can handle it.
It's not so bad, especially once a process is developed to handle these situations. It's a great idea to write up your process in a procedure manual. Do you have a procedure manual for your CME program?
I know. I told you. I have no idea, but I'll find out. But if there isn't one for this process, I'll create it.
Okay, again, not so bad. But for this last step, this one is where we need to do some additional things for people with financial relationships. We call that conflict of interest resolution.
Conflict of witty what?
Conflict of interest
Resolution. Okay.
So that means that we work within a process to determine the financial relationship of the person with a conflict and make sure they've been evaluated somehow to make sure that their role in developing content is not influenced by that financial relationship. This requirement, as spelled out by the ACCME, is, let me look it up, the provider must have implemented a mechanism to identify and resolve all conflicts of interest prior to the education activity being delivered to learners. Now, they don't tell you exactly what mechanism to implement, but you need to have one.
Okay.
You need to follow it for each situation that you encounter the need to do so. My strong recommendation, to always document that the mechanism has been implemented.
Okay. Always. Wow. This is a lot to take in, but thanks so much for walking me through it. What if I still have questions? Who can I turn to?
Well, I'm always happy to talk to you about these things. CME is my life. But if for some reason I'm not available, you can always check out the AACCME.org website. They have a lot of great resources. They don't bite. You can always call or email with questions. They also have educational conferences and such that are very informative to attend.
Thank you so much. Goodbye, Mr. Powers.
You're welcome. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
OMG, Jake. You're not going to believe it. Another client. This guy comes all the way from France.
OMG, does Nick think he's 16? Lord help me, I'm surrounded by knuckleheads. Oh.
Bonjour, Mr. Powers.
Bonjour, ciao, sir.
My name is Jacques Pouvret. I think perhaps we might be distantly related. Our names are very similar.
Is that so?
Do you have a cousin in the UK?
I do. How do you know that?
Oh, everyone knows Austin Powers. Well, not well, though. He's an international man of mystery.
Huh. How about that? Learn something new every day. Now, how can I help you, Monster?
I may need you to investigate my company. I'm concerned that we're doing things that are, how do you say, inappropriate?
You mean non-compliant?
Merci. That's exactly what I mean. We run a number of CME conferences here in the U.S., and I'm afraid we're not following U.S. compliance rules. Can you help?
I'm a CME detective. It's what I do. You've come to the right place.
Fantastic. Question 1. How far do our exhibits need to be from the meeting room? We set up a few air walls that have people walk through 20 meters or so before they enter the room. Is that enough?
Okay, time to help Jake again. How far does Jacques' company exhibits need to be from his session room? I should actually activate the question. Sorry, I'm doing like 20 things at once here. Here we go. Activate. Okay. A, as long as the exhibits aren't in the same room as the CME sessions, they're fantastique. You know, it's going to speak French during this. The exhibits must be at least 100 yards from the session room. There must be a clear path free of promotional messaging for learners to access the session room. Or D, the exhibit space cannot be directly connected to the session room. Please respond now. Let's see what we're looking at here. Okay, we got the responses are coming in. Thus far, it looks like answer A is the top, with answer C, A and C about the same, none for B. So let's turn it back over to Jake Powers and Jacques and see what they have to say.
Well, Jack, the correct answer is that the ACCME has removed the obligate pathway rule. A lot of people don't realize that. It's no longer in the ACCME standards. So as long as the exhibits aren't in the same room as the CME sessions, they're très fantastique.
Question 2. We sometimes have promotional product theaters in the same room as our sessions. CME sessions. Is this okay? Do we have to clean and sanitize the room between promotional and certified sessions?
Ooh. That's me again.
That's your cue.
There was a typo on the paper. Okay. Yes, so we're helping Jake once again. I need to activate the question. Take away the responses. So help Jake yet again. Can Jack or Jacques, however we're saying its company, hold a promotional product theater and a CME session in the same room? A, no way. Oh, no way, Jacques. Never. You always need separate rooms. B, yes, but only if everyone leaves the room. The room is reset and then everyone re-enters. No Lysol needed. C, yes, as long as the speakers are different, an announcement is made and the attribution of the sponsors and supporters are clearly identified. You can just go from the product theater right to the CME session. Or D, only if the promotional product theater was held during a meal. Please respond now, and let's take a look at our responses. We have some responses coming in. It looks like A, no way, Jacques, never. You always need separate rooms is high, although the highest one appears to be C, yes, as long as the speakers are different, an announcement is made, etc., etc. Let's turn it back over to Jake Powers.
So Jacques, actually, the correct answer would be B. Yes, you have to clear the room. There has to be a clear space on the agenda. Everybody must be given a chance to leave the room that does not want to attend the promotional product theater. And there's a clear delineation between the sessions. You cannot go back and forth all day long. It has to be kind of a one-time change, cannot be a constant change throughout the agenda.
Question 3. When we have satellite symposia, we're sometimes asked if the reps from supporting pharma company can distribute invitations from the booth or to local clinicians. Is this okay?
Jacques' French is almost as bad as mine is. Okay, so we're helping out Jake one more time with Jacques. Question is, help Jake answer another question from the persistent Frenchman. Can Jacques' company approve the distribution of invitations by the supporters' drug reps? A, oui, or B, non. Please respond now. I'll give this one a couple seconds since it was a short question. Able to answer, and let's take a look. Oh, we have. Oh, it's a close one. People don't seem to know what it is. Oh, for a while we had we. So it looks like most people are saying B, non, is the most common answer. Let's go back over to Jake Powers and see what the correct answer actually is.
The correct answer is yes. The drug reps can actually distribute invitations, and many people don't know this. There are, of course, some parameters around it. So it should be supplemental to whatever your company, the provider, is doing. The supporter cannot be the only mechanism, because then they really control the audience and who would be there, only the people they invite. Reps can't actually use the invite to help them sell a product. That's an important piece. And it's also good to know that the invite does not have to be in a plain brown wrapper. I don't know if you were around back then, but people used to think that was a rule that couldn't show what the program was about. However, internal policies vary from supporter to supporter, so it's always best to confirm a supporter's policy.
Monsieur again, Monsieur. This is plenty of information to bring back to Gay Paris. Let's hold off on the investigation for now, shall we?
Less work for me is music to my ears, Jacques.
Très bien, Mr. CME detective.
Adios, amigo.
Mr. Powers, another case. She sounds Irish.
Another case already? What's going on out there? Is Grassley revisiting the freaking Sunshine Act again? Someone crossed their firewall? Keep warning these knuckleheads. Oh, Irish? Nick, that reminds me. Make my coffee Irish, and find me a Guinness chaser, why don't you?
I'll work on that, sir. In the meantime, please let me introduce you to the lovely Mrs. Raw. I think she might be French-Irish.
Good afternoon, Mr. Powers. Or is it Detective Powers I should call you?
Ooh, with that accent? Call me whatever you want, but Mr. Powers is just fine.
Okay, so tell me now, are you related to John Powers of Dublin at all?
I'm not familiar.
You sure? I thought you'd be a fan of his work.
Huh. I am a fan. I'll put it right here next to my other good friend, Jim.
Okay, well, in the meantime, I have an interesting problem with accreditation, as you might call it, that has...
Let me guess. Complications.
Yeah, how did you know?
It's what I do, ma'am. Please continue.
Okay. So I just got a new job at a medical education company. Now, I've never worked in CME before, Mr. Powers. So I have some questions, and I was told that you're just the man to help me.
Yep, that's me. Tell me, how can I help?
So our company, Speedy MedEd, creates educational content, and we're really innovative, but we're not accredited by the ACCME or anyone like that for awarding credit. So I was told we need to find a provider to work with. When I called around looking for a partner, they started to tell me all sorts of things that looks like it's really going to delay us in getting our programs off the ground.
What kinds of things did they mention?
Oh, lots of forms to fill out about relationships with the drug industry.
Wait, when we're done, you should catch up with my first client of the day. She can fill you in on what to do. Anything else? I'm a pretty busy guy.
Well, one of the things is they tell me that I need to send the slides into them well in advance of whether we're filming, recording, or the event. Now, we work with the best and brightest doctors and nurses, and they don't have time to get their content into us that far ahead. So what can I do about that? Can't the provider just check it over afterwards, like before they send the certificates out or something? I mean, we're doing all the work, but my bosses don't want me to let them slow us up. Speedy med ed has a reputation to keep.
Let me tell you a little something about joint providership.
Okay, but what do I do about working with the CME people? My bosses want me to get credit for all the work we do.
That's what I'm going to explain.
Okay.
So for over 25 years, companies like yours have had the opportunity to collaborate with accredited organizations, the CME companies, the CME people. This allows them to enhance the diversity and value of their educational offerings and allows you to bring the value of their innovative program to the HCPs who would benefit from them. So, however, this relationship does not mean that the provider is free from responsibility that they would carry for their own programs. So they need to apply the same standards. And this is where you come in. You need to work together on this.
Oh, so we need to play by their rules, even if it slows me down.
Putting it simply, yes. There's a few things in particular you need to be aware of. So write this down.
Okay.
You ready? So 2 key things. 1, the accredited provider must inform the learner of the joint providership relationship through the use of the appropriate accreditation statement. Okay. Number 2, all printed materials for jointly provided activities must carry the appropriate accreditation statement. So you need to tell your team to plan for this.
Okay, so I got it. So both our names need to be on everything.
Exactly. Compliance is key and doesn't change, as we said before. So if they ask you for something, there's a reason behind it, including time to review the slides and make sure the content is in line with their needs assessment, the gap analysis, and is designed to address these gaps. That, and of course, that you've created fair and balanced content. So have you decided on a provider to work with?
Well, I called around a few, but how do I know who's the best?
Well, that's a long answer. I don't have time for it today. I mean, my years of experience, I can just sniff them out. But here's a tip for you. Ask to see their ACCME certificate and ask if they're on probation. If they are, they can't work with you in joint providership, and you should walk away.
Okay.
Also ask if they've received their accreditation with commendation. That is a good sign.
Okay. So before I go, and you mentioned this as well, needs assessments, and they said they need to be thorough. We usually do a literature review. Is this enough? But we even thought of getting quotes from some of the doctors we work with, because we thought that would really spice it up.
Whoa. This is a loaded question. The provider should give you some guidance to make sure what you provide is appropriate. A needs assessment can be defined as, let's look this up real quick, any systematic approach to collecting and analyzing information about the educational needs of individuals or organizations. So this is an essential step for the CME planning process, so that ultimately CME activities serve to improve outcomes for patients by changing physicians' practice behaviors. So to achieve this goal, it's of utmost importance to identify what is missing from the optimum practice and what are the actual or potential learning needs of the target audience, which can be addressed by providing CME opportunities. You need to think of it this way. So the needs identification process sets the stage for the development of learning objectives. That's what the participations can expect to get out of the activity. That sets the stage for format selection, the best method to deliver content and teach those objectives. Answers to these questions may help to clarify the need for CME and begin the process of collecting and analyzing information. So jot these down. How widespread is the need? What sources confirm this need? What are the ramifications to patients if this need is not filled? How directly is the need linked to physicians' practices? Will the CME activity improve practice? And last but not least, what are the barriers to physicians changing their practice behaviors?
So now this might come up. What if the commercial supporter's drug, which is in development, fails their clinical trials and they just drop it? Can they cancel the program before it's launched?
It is our turn to help Jake give the Irish Dame the most compliant answer. If it's, oops, let me activate the question. There we go. If its drug in development fails, can a commercial supporter force a provider to cancel their program mid-development and return grant funding? A, Yes, it's the supporters' money and they can do what they want with it. B, yes, because the activity will no longer make any sense. C, no. Written correctly, the needs assessment will still be valid and the program will still fill a need. Or D, no. Once the grant has been committed, the commercial supporter has no control over how the funds are used. Please select your answer now. Should have had some Jeopardy music or something to play. Okay, let's take a look at the answers that are coming in. So it looks like at this point, most people have selected D. Fair amount have also selected C. So it looks like overwhelmingly no is the response. No one has actually selected yes. Let's return to Jake Powers and see what the answer is.
So the correct answer is no. You don't have to return the money because written correctly, the needs assessment will still be valid and the program will still fill a need. It would be extremely unlikely, maybe inappropriate, that a needs assessment entirely hinged on clinicians not knowing about one single drug in development. If the gaps include a need to understand and new and emerging agents, then the program would still be valid because you're talking about multiple agents. Fair balance would require the discussion of all emerging agents, not just the agent of the supporter.
Okay. So all those questions you were listing out before, where can we find the answers to those?
Needs assessments vary pretty widely in terms of sources, but in general, data may come from people, documents, special studies. I'm going to give you a breakdown of various different sources. Okay, ready?
Okay.
So inferred needs. Those are needs that are derived from new diagnosis techniques, new treatment options, new practice guidelines, new acquired technology or equipment, or legislative, regulatory, or organizational changes that affect patient care.
Okay, great. Thanks.
And then you have your expressed needs.
Oh.
And expressed needs, let's see. They generally come from internal sources, such as requests submitted by a participant in an activity evaluation form, formal survey of potential participants, informal comments, consensus of faculty members within a department, or requests from medical quality assurance departments.
Okay, surveys, comments, got it.
You know what excites me most?
Oh.
Getting data on proven needs.
Oh, what are
Let's see.
they?
Proven needs are based on objective external or internal sources that may come from epidemiological data, quality assurance data, morbidity and mortality data, guidelines from associations and requirements of societies, for example, journal articles, scientific publications, news media, published national consensus, chart reviews, hospital data such as infection control data, and my favorite, patient satisfaction survey results.
Oh. I'm not sure we can get that level of data all the time.
Well, yeah, sit down. It's not always necessary, but you should work closely with your accredited provider to discuss what you need before you get too far into a program plan. And finally, as you mentioned yourself, you can have new needs indicated by experts, expert opinion from practitioners, other knowledgeable sources, input from your planning committee, consensus of faculty members within the department. For CME activities, data from all appropriate sources should be gathered and summarized in a needs assessment document. And don't forget, you always need to validate your content against the needs assessment. That's it. That's all I got time.
Okay.
If you want to get into the CME game, you got to know the rules, kid. You can also check the CME Palooza archive from spring 2016. Feast your eyes on more than just a lit summary using compelling data in grant requests to support practice gaps and clinician education needs. Two dames, Audrey Tornow and Monique Johnson, they know their CME.
Ah, the lovely Audrey. Can I go now?
Yep. Get out of here, kid, but you know where to find me if you need me.
Okay, as the Irish dame is leaving, we have one last question for you to respond to. Has this discussion given you new ideas for what to include in your needs assessment? A, yes, a whole bunch of new ideas. B, yes, a few things I hadn't considered. C, no, it confirms what I was already doing. Or D, no, these ideas aren't realistic, i.e. too time consuming or too expensive. please take a moment to respond now while I find my place in the papers. I think we have one last scenario. All right, let's take a look at the responses. Most people see no confirms what I was already doing, which is good. Glad to hear that. It seems like Jake knows what he's talking about. Although a few people did say yes, they learned a few things. That's always good to know as well. Also, before we move on to the next session, just throwing out there, if there are any questions, hold on, let me put up my banner. You can always text us questions to 267-6660-CME or tweet questions to #CMEPalooza. All right, I think I am ready. Let us move on back to see what's happening in the world of Jake Powers.
All right, I'm taking off, boss. See you tomorrow.
You got it, Nick. Till tomorrow, knucklehead. Oh my God, what? What do you want now, Nick? Go home.
Mr. Powers?
Um,
Mr. Powers, may I come in?
Yes, ma'am, come in.
Hello, Mr. Powers. Are you still open for business? If so, I may need your help.
Open for, yes, of course I'm open. It's been a busy day, but please have a seat, miss.
Well, it's Mrs. Well, I prefer not to say anything more. You see, my problem is my husband.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm a CME detective. It sounds like you need a detective.
Well, that's why I came to see you, Mr. Powers. My husband is in CME.
Continue. Let's see if I can help.
Well, I don't really understand this CME stuff.
That's okay. Apparently nobody does. That's what keeps me in business.
Well, it seems like my husband does. He talks about grants and firewalls, and sometimes he gets frustrated with me when I ask him about sponsors. Supporters, he yells at me. How many times do I have to tell you they're called supporters? It's humiliating, but I still love him.
Okay, so what seems to be the problem then?
Well, a few things. Oddly, twice a year, he locks himself into his office and I hear him talking to people on his computer. He talks about somebody named Scott a lot, and then he reads off a list of sponsors. I've wanted to yell, "They're called supporters," at him through the door, but I don't want him to get in trouble with whomever is on the other end of the headset. Maybe this Scott guy is important. Who knows?
You're right, ma'am. That's kind of odd, but hardly a crime. If he's talking about sponsors, probably has nothing to do with CME, but maybe it needs some investigating. Hard to tell.
Okay. Well, let's skip that for now. I actually do have another question.
Okay, shoot.
Well, my brother is a doctor, and he was telling us that he's going to an interesting CME dinner at a super cool restaurant in Philly that my husband simply refuses to take me to.
That guy.
He says he'd rather spend his money on Sixers tickets. However, my sister-in-law's out of town, and I was thinking of tagging along with my brother as his +1. Would that be okay?
Are you a doctor, ma'am? A nurse practitioner, physician assistant, nurse, anything? Lab tech?
No, I'm not. Is that important? I hear my husband say that spouses aren't allowed at these things, but I wouldn't be going as a spouse. I'd be going as, a sibling, I guess?
I don't want to get too personal here, ma'am, but are you interested in this topic? Would you consider yourself a patient?
Certainly not, but I guess you might consider me a caregiver of sorts.
Can I ask what the topic of the meeting at the super cool restaurant is?
Well, it's called TTP syndrome, trust the process syndrome. It's some kind of Sixers fever. It's a real thing, you know. Just ask my husband.
I've only heard, ma'am, but I believe you. And honestly, I'm kind of glad it's not something more embarrassing.
Ew. I'd truly like to learn more about his condition, though. Treatments and any other news that could help him. Could I attend? And between you and me, I hear they have fantastic, ecologically sourced, microplastic-free sushi.
Wow.
Not sure I'm supposed to ask questions after that. Anyway, our first question for everyone. Activating. So help Jake solve the mysterious woman in black, who is extremely attractive, by the way. The mysterious woman in black's dining dilemma. Can she attend a CME dinner program as a non-professional caregiver? A, yes, absolutely, without any limitations. B, yes, but only if she doesn't eat anything. C, yes, if the policy of the activity provider allows it. Or D, no way, never. Please take a few seconds to respond, and we will see what people think about the mysterious woman in black's dilemma. Let's take a look. So it looks like the largest response has been to yes, if the policy of the activity provider allows it. Looks like most yeses, although we do have a few no's. Let's go back to Jake Powers and the mysterious woman in black to see what the correct answer is.
So, while the Pharma Code states that it's not appropriate to include a spouse or guest in connection with an activity, promotional generally, unless the spouse or guest is independently qualified as a healthcare provider, the ACCME for CME programs doesn't have a guideline or policy prohibiting a non-HCP. The individual accredited provider can establish a policy to limit members of the target audience. If someone complains, the ACCME would support the CME provider with a policy. So it's good to have a policy. I would suggest checking with them before driving all the way into the city to the super cool restaurant.
Okay. Your help is much appreciated, and I'll be sure to give the provider tonight's dinner a call if they'd mind me attending.
Well, then my work here is done.
Well, I may still have to ask you to investigate my husband's weird conversations through his computer, but I can do that for another day.
You know where to find me, ma'am. I'm Powers, Jake Powers, CME detective. Now go enjoy a fantastic dinner wherever you decide to eat.
You're quite an unusual man, Mr. Powers.
Ma'am, I pride myself on it. My work here truly is done.
Oh boy. Everyone, why don't you come on back out again so we can do our close up.
Reveal.
Yes. Why don't you all introduce yourselves, since we didn't get to do that at the beginning. Jake Powers.
Jake Powers.
Yes.
Oh, Karen Roy as blonde and Irish dame.
Quite a stretch for you.
I'm Renee Warnick, and I do happen to be the spouse of Derek, the mysterious woman in black.
Sorry, ladies, I'm all taken.
And Steve Bender from Factor X, Jacques, and Nick.
Well, thank all of you, including our surprise guest. No, I did not know that Renee was going to be on this. That was really great. We got lots of good feedback. I think people enjoyed that a lot. We didn't get any questions, probably because people were too busy laughing and learning at the same time. So thank you all. We'll finish up a little bit early here. Actually, give me 1 second to so I can pull up my slides and do the next. Any final comments from you, Jake?
Anybody that has any ideas, good ideas for a second episode?
Derek, keep them to yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And volunteers to take part.
Yeah, volunteer yourself. Or feel free to volunteer others.
Let's see, hold on. I got the slides. There they are. Okay. This was definitely the most complex. Oh, no, I just lost them. Now they're back again. Okay. Okay, great. So to finish up, please take our survey. It's on the live page if you haven't already done so. Just click on the little survey link and it'll take you right to it. And about 7 questions, will take you about 60 seconds to finish. We would appreciate all of your feedback. All positive, please. And lastly, to view the next session, which is the last session of the day. Finally, I don't have to do the last session of the day. Hold on. The name of this one is, oh yes, the Great Big Play at Home in Your Jammies CME Quiz. Session sponsored by Infograph Ed. Thank you, Karen Roy. And this one, there is some prize money. You can actually win money through this. So make sure you come back. So you have like a 10-minute break. You can run to the bathroom, get a drink, get a cup of coffee, come on back at 4 o'clock or a few minutes before then. Scott will have the new video feed up. You just have to refresh the screen on the live page, and that'll be it. So from myself, Jake Powers, and the rest of the crew, thanks so much, and we will talk to you all later.